Hello, everyone. My name is Lexi Hemingway. I am interviewing my mom, Debbie Hemingway, today about her experience and journey with being pregnant with triplets. And we are going to kind of go back into a little backstories of when she was first pregnant with my brother. He's 27 and I am 21. So, with your first pregnancy, was it natural or naturally planned, or did you have to incorporate doctors, medicine, etc.?
So it was definitely planned because I got married at 24 or 27, excuse me, and then started trying to get pregnant at 29, which is, a little on the older side. So by the time I gave birth to my son, the same month I would have been 31. So I got pregnant at 30.
Mhm.
Um, and it was hard due to my age. And my husband's a little older, so his age. And so we did have to use some fertility specialists. And it was medicine, I think 3 different months of trying, and we finally got pregnant. So it wasn't too bad, but it definitely wasn't natural. We had to get help.
Okay. So, was this first pregnancy difficult on you in terms of eating, physical activity, mental health?
Um, a little bit difficult just because of my age. So I was 30 when I got pregnant. And that's pretty old. And uh I also have a muscle disease, so that makes it a little bit harder on my body. I get tired real easily. But mentally, no, I was in good spirits.
Okay, so after going through the difficulty of getting pregnant with Austin, and as we know, or you guys don't know, but my brother was very difficult as a child, the terrible
Yep.
tooth, obviously. So after going through that and the difficulty of actually getting pregnant, did that make you think twice about getting pregnant again?
Absolutely. I really wanted another one because of my age, and I always wanted 2 kids, but he was horrible. So it took me about 4.5 years to say, okay, I'm ready to try because I wanted to be guaranteed a girl. I wanted one of each, and that was it. So, and you don't get guarantees with what you're getting. So, yes, it definitely made me stop because I wanted kids closer in age, but it worked out how it worked out.
And just real quick, you talking about wanting to have a girl so badly. Do you want to speak on that? Is it because you grew up with two other sisters or?
Yeah, it's nice having the same sex sibling. Um, but I didn't want that because I wanted to have a girl and I already have a
Yeah.
boy. But I've always wanted 2 or 3 kids.
Mhm.
So I would have probably wanted three if it wasn't so hard getting pregnant every
Right.
time for me.
Okay. So, can you kind of run me through how life was like when you first started trying to get pregnant with the second child?
Um, well, I was older again. It took me months and months and months and months to get pregnant, and more fertility than I ever did with my son, your
Right.
brother. And I was older. So by the time I gave birth with you, I was almost 37 years old. So it was very hard on my body and mentally, physically, stuff like that. Much harder.
Okay. So, kind of going more into depth with that,
Mhm.
were there like specific things that you had to do differently from your first pregnancy to get pregnant?
Yes,
And this
absolutely.
also, this also backstory. I know my mom, we kind of talked about it of the medicine and the doctors. That was a huge part in this pregnancy. Um, I don't know much about freezing eggs, but I do know it gets more difficult as you get older.
Yeah, well,
So
your
I
body
know.
produces less eggs.
Mhm.
So, yes, instead of I tried the medicine for 3 months like I did with my son, it didn't work. Then we tried these
Was
shots.
oh, okay, so the shots aren't the so it's different.
Yes,
Oh,
right. Then we tried shots, it didn't work. And then we had to go into in vitro insemination, which is harvesting and doing these shots to get good eggs that are large enough size Um, and then once you're done with that, which is very stressful and it takes months and months and months and months, um, they withdraw the eggs from me, which is like a surgery. And then my husband has to give a sample of sperm, and then they put those together in a petri dish to see if they'll combine to make an embryo. And at that point, once you get embryos, you can put them all back in the woman, or you can freeze some. And I chose to freeze some. So if it didn't work, I would have them for future times if I had to try to get pregnant again. So it was much harder, much more entailed. And then once you're pregnant, you see the doctor much more, much more. And then you also have to be different
You
doing with eating and stuff.
just curious, do you know how much more often you have to see the doctors?
Yes, instead of once a month, I was probably seeing them every couple weeks
Oh,
to
wow.
make sure that the embryos were growing, and that um blood tests, that the numbers, the hormones were going up. Yeah, it's much more. Plus, there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're with triplets.
Right.
So, you have to watch your blood pressure. You have to make sure that one baby isn't taking all the nutrients through the umbilical cord and starving the other ones.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is so. And I also do have a question. And I know you're not totally sure exactly, how things go down with babies when you lose babies throughout the process, but um, is it kind of the same thing when, I mean, I'm just putting air quotes because obviously it's not technically exactly, but like when babies absorb, uh, I'm trying to word it, but like they don't absorb the other baby, but can you kind of explain that a little bit of besides the umbilical cord of getting enough nutrients, absorbing part of something else? Can you kind of go into depth with that?
It just really is that the uh sometimes babies don't grow and the body will absorb them,
Okay.
is what can happen.
Okay. So, a little more background information. My mom has two sisters, one older and one younger. The older one does not have any children. The younger one does. She has a pair of twins, 13?
14 years
14,
old. Yeah.
14, and then an older son who is 22, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so besides her, which we can go in depth with, but did you know anyone else who was struggling to get pregnant at the time?
Not really. My older sister, we knew, could never have kids, and my younger one did have problems. So she did do just the medicine, like I did with Austin, and she was able to get pregnant. And so she had twins. The first child was a single, and then she had twins
Yeah.
the second time. But no, I didn't really know anybody else.
Did she also kind of do the same thing with you of the medicine, the shots? Did she ever
She
have?
only had to do the medicine,
Oh,
which is the same as Austin. She didn't have to go much more into detail like I
for
did.
both pregnancies,
Yep.
the shots.
Yep.
Interesting. Did your mother have any issues with pregnancy? Do you know?
No, she got married at 19 and had a baby right at 20. And then me and then my sister, she never had a problem.
Huh.
So I don't know how come we both did.
That is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so um, what was your initial reaction at the ultrasound when you found out that you were pregnant with triplets at what age?
Uh, I was um, 36, turning 37.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
So my initial response was I cried and
tears of
I was
joy.
freaking out because I was scared to have three babies at that age. I
Yeah,
was old, I was tired, my body. Um, but I was also thankful that I was pregnant again and hopeful that one of them would be a girl.
yes.
So I had both those feelings.
So, now you know you're pregnant with triplets. Knowing kind of how it went with Austin, what were your hopes or fears at that point?
Well, my hope was that one or two would survive. And
Hmm.
that was also my fear that I would lose all three and have to start over. And I don't know if I wanted to do that at my age with how tired I was. But I hoped that one or two would take.
Yeah. So again, more background information. My mom lost the first embryo because it was
Mhm.
only 6 weeks. Yeah. Embryo at 6 weeks. So what do you remember distinctively in detail about the time when you first realized that you lost the first baby?
So, like I said, with triplets, you see the doctor a lot, especially in the beginning. So, yes, at 6 weeks, they said that the embryo stopped growing and there was really no heartbeat in it. So, they warned me that that could happen. Um,
I do
so
do
I was
have a
scared. I
question.
was sad.
I do have one question.
Hmm.
I don't know much information about it, but um, when you lose a child before pregnancy, especially that early, but probably even later, um, the isn't it there's like a blood retention or something like you still have to shed the blood, but I know you didn't want to do that.
So,
You didn't how did that work with the first baby is what I
so the
want.
first baby, because it was only 6 weeks old, the baby just absorbs it. The body
Oh,
absorbs it.
okay. Okay.
So it's not like you miscarry.
Okay.
So the body just kind of absorbed it, and I didn't feel any different. And I was sad, but I knew I had the other two, and I was very careful. I followed the doctor's, orders of a certain amount of food that you have to eat, weight gain, not to do too much activity, not to lift things. I was very careful. So I mean, I was sad, but I was warned that that could happen, so
Right.
I was okay.
So, after kind of that, how did emotions, I mean, you kind of just explained it, but are there, any more emotions that you felt after knowing that you lost the first child, knowing that you possibly could lose the other two? Were there any kind of,
I was scared. I was scared, and I was extra, extra careful and just prayed and hoped that things would go okay.
so, my mom ended up losing another child throughout this pregnancy. Around 4.5 months. So, how did that affect your pregnancy and mindset? And then on top of that, again, at that point, can a fetus absorb that?
You mean
Like
can the body absorb
like
it?
the first pregnancy. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I was almost halfway. So I was really depressed and
Mhm.
anxious that I would lose another and sad. Um, and at that point, the you're either told the body absorbs or you have to give birth at the same time that I would give birth to you, which I did not want to do. And they would have had to do a C-section because I did not want to give birth to something that 6 months, I mean, looks like a little peanut, a little baby. And then I was scared to death that I was not going to be able to keep the last one, which was you. And thank God I did.
Yeah. Um, that's so interesting. Yeah. So, again, more background information. My mom's mother is still alive today, and she was there for my pregnancy, correct?
Yes.
Austin's as well?
Yep.
Okay. Um, but her father, who she is very, very close with, passed away even before she got married. So he was not there for her first pregnancy or her second.
Right.
So knowing that, he was not there, how did it feel not having him, there for support?
Um, Hard. I was very close to him.
Hmm.
He knew my husband, your dad. Um, and I was just really sad. I wanted him to be there because he would have loved his grandkids.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope that that never happens for you. But at least I had my mother there, and that was helpful. And my sister was there too.
Was she which one and for which pregnancy?
My older sister was there for your brother Austin, and my younger sister with her oldest, who's a year older than you, was there for your birth,
Okay. Okay.
which was nice.
So I am aware that after the first pregnancy, you had a doctor, Dr. Summers,
Yep.
who was not gonna let you go through what you went through for the first one. So maybe if you could kind of give us some information about that, because my question is, how did it feel, or were there things that people said that helped or hurt you during this pregnancy?
So there wasn't really anybody that hurt me,
Right.
said anything. But as far as helping me, she was amazing throughout the whole pregnancy. I
Mhm.
had told her how hard it was with the first one, and I had a doctor that wasn't really good. And she was amazing. She kept me strong. She kept me positive, even when I lost the one and then the next one. Um, and she just got me through it. And then during the birthing, she, told her staff, this woman is going to go through without having to have any cuts, without extra bleeding. We're going to make this a short birthing. We are going to work with this woman and get her through it. And I was able to push 5 times. And in 30 minutes, you were out. She was just an amazing doctor.
7:32 p.m. to be exact.
Yes, that's very true.
Yes. And did so everything the other fetuses who obviously did not make it were surgically removed before, correct?
Say that again.
The so I absorbed both technically the
Well,
blood.
you did. My body did. My
Oh,
body
you
absorbed
did.
it.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So thank goodness I did not have to. Yes, I was scared. I did not have to give birth to the one that was looked like more like a baby that passed. Yes.
Okay. So, um, after you gave birth, were there
Mhm.
any issues instantly as an infant, probably from 0 to 1, that were big issues, or was it pretty easy?
Not with you. You were at 6 pounds, 2 ounces. You were about 10 days early, which is considered a preemie, but your weight was fine and you didn't need oxygen, or your belly room was good. You were good. I had the other child, your brother had problems and had to stay in the hospital for 20 days. You were fine.
Right.
Thank goodness.
So after everything that you went through with that pregnancy, emotionally, mentally, physically, because
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but my mom has a muscle disease where not only does the age affect her in being pregnant, but it's very difficult, especially with triplets, let alone a single child.
Right.
After everything that you went through with that pregnancy, did it change your mindset about having another pregnancy? I know you just wanted a girl. You really wanted a girl.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like after you had the girl, even if it was an easy pregnancy, you kind of look, was the pregnancy just like you know what, I'm tapping out.
That's
That
exactly what
took
it
all
was.
my energy. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. I really wanted to have 3 kids, but
Yeah.
starting out late, and then after what I went through with you, I decided that I just couldn't do it physically and mentally. It
Mhm.
was a big mental thing on me too, because mental makes a big difference on how the pregnancy goes as well.
Yeah, you
So,
told me
yeah,
like it stresses you out more, and then the more you're stressed out,
correct.
the more it affects the pregnancy.
Correct. It's like a vicious circle. So
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, um, if birthing and pregnancy was easy, I probably would have, but I was so close to being 38 already. I'm not sure I wanted to be much older with another child.
Can we know when were you trying to get pregnant first with Austin?
I was 29 years old and finally got pregnant at 30 and gave birth at the same month I would have turned 31.
Mhm.
So, and then you were 6 years later.
Is there a reason you tried so late? Or
Because I
was
didn't
that
get
kind of the age people got pregnant at
that
that?
then. No, but I got married late. So I
Okay.
didn't get married till I met my husband at 24, didn't get married till 27. We wanted a couple years before we tried.
Okay.
So that's why. we waited so long.
Well, thank you, Mom, for this interview.
You're welcome.
We are gonna end on a little lighthearted note. We are gonna see a couple pictures of me and my brother.
So this is you and I.
Yes, yes. And we still do have a place on the lake for anyone
Yep,
wondering.
you and I again. This is your brother, and that was you when you were first born. And that's your dad and you.
Yes.
Look at those eyes. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
gosh, thank you so much for interviewing me. This was very interesting.
Yes, and thank you for being here. And I think that's all we need. So,
Wonderful. All right. Thank you.
thank you, Mom. Love
Bye
you.
bye.